As I've said many times, Eric, one of the great things about our lessons together is that generally you will say one really, really important thing in the context of our hour lesson. Repeat what you just said, please, because we weren't recording.
From that G minor 8/7, we have the D and it goes to the C sharp, so it acts as a suspension.
So, does that mean that I could perhaps do this? Instead of playing E minor 7 flat 5 to A7, could I do this? And indeed, when you have a 2-5, you're moving from minor 7 to dominant 7th, aren't you? Right? Okay. Your minor 7 chord has a flat 7 in it. That note is the 4 of your 5-7 chord. This D note. So do this for me. Go. Well, you better watch what strings I'm playing with this right hand, brother. Watch this. Say this, root guide tone structure.
Root guide tone structure.
Now you know what that means. If I'm playing an A7, my root guide tone structure would be the root, play this, and my guide tone, since I'm playing a dominant 7th chord, would be the flat 7 to 3, right? But since I'm in the sus4 side of my dominant family, my guide tones are a root, well, the root's the root, sorry, and the flat 7 and the 4 are my guide tones, right? Good, and notice how you're keeping that A and G still ringing. Now do the same thing with a grand bar and go. You don't need your third finger down, right? Use your third finger for that D. Wait, you're not watching me, sir. Look at my hand. I have everything in place before I play so that all I need to do is pick up a finger. Make sure that G is ringing. You hear that G? See, so that kept you now from yanking too hard with your middle finger, which has more leverage. You don't want to overpower that flat 7, right? Now let's put our melody in. I won't sound too strong because I don't have a ring nail, but if I had a ring nail, do you see I would reach over and my ring finger would play the melody. I'm going to let that G sustain in the melody. Okay, start off with all 4 fingers down like this, right? Now, before you play, do this. Yo. Were you consciously moving your second finger? Or was
yes.
that? All right.
It won't do anything.
Now do this. That would be a great little exercise, but don't bend your strings around excessively. Now I go. You hear that? I'm looking at that second measure. My second measure, in essence, establishes the 5 chord of the chord in measure 3, doesn't it? So A7 is my important destination, which means, because my melody goes 1, flat 7, right? Everything good? I don't have to stick the 2 chord in front of it. A simpler harmonic version would just be to play, right? Now I could also play it with the 5th string open, couldn't I? Play a 2/3 bar, put all your other fingers down just like before. Open up. All right, stop. Repeat it. Take your hand off the neck. Repeat after me. Say right to left.
Right to left.
Now wiggle your little finger at me. Put your little finger on this G. Now reach right to left. Put your 2/3 bar in place. Now you're not doing what I'm asking you to do. I'm not asking you to put these other fingers down. Okay. 2/3 bar, not 2/3 plus. Is my bar parallel with the fret?
Yeah.
Was yours? Okay. Ah, look what happened. Now you're very upright, right? And then these fingers are right over their targets. That little bit of extra effort in supinating your arm will just put you right over your targets. Okay, so the beauty of this is we're not playing a lot, but we're getting a lot of sound because of the overring, right? It's like a pianist playing it, okay? Now I could go on all day on this second measure here. What did I just do on beat 4?
Played the third.
Which is what note?
C sharp.
And that's going to lead right up to my D minor, right? And that'd be a nice little bass line. The melody's active, so we're not going to play around with the bass line. We're going to keep it a little simpler. Just keep the A in the bass. You see that? Now I'm not going to go through all the options because I couldn't. We could keep going for weeks on this, right? That's the beauty.
Oh yeah, 2/5 is.
And the beauty of this is what's so cool about music is that you could take 100 guitars and say, work out an arrangement of Georgia. And everybody's going to have a little different approach, right? But we still have these basic chords. Then you could also do this sort of thing. This is a little trickier. You take that original E minor 7 flat 5, and with that fingering, you have no access to the left, do you? Your melody was up here. Well, I want to take this A and play it on the first string. So would you do this for me? This means that your second finger is going to be playing a hyperextension bar. Here, I'll get you started on this. Put your first finger on the A, melody. Put your third finger on the G, which is going to be a melody. Watch me, watch me. I said third finger, I meant fourth, sorry. Put your third finger on that B flat. Okay, now take your second finger, hyperextend it, the DIP joint, and bar strings 5, 4, and 3. And then when you play this with your right hand, you start off skipping the second string. Take note of how my second finger is not anywhere near parallel on the fret. Well, even more so. Look at how mine's really angled. Yeah. Now, isn't that prettier than this? Because it's that hammered dulcimer sound. It's that keyboard with sustain pedal down. It's worth the extra effort. And here's what's really nice about this. I'm going to show you some pretty trick things here. So you've got, now I need to get to my A7, which means I need to get my A bass. So I'll just play the open A, right? And then I move my second finger over to the C sharp. I didn't lose my B flat. Okay, you're losing sight. Right. Let's start over again. Play a G minor right here. Okay, put your A on top. Take your second finger to capture your E bass. That's probably a great way to get into this chord. And then do this. Now I have a nice A7 flat 9, don't I? Okay. I could have done this. All these trick little moves here. Start off with this E minor 7 flat 5 with the added 11 on top. But watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my index finger, I'm going to press down to C sharp, and then I'm going to do a crossbar so I can go. Now you better keep your little finger down. Now this, it's one of those kind of moves that might work, might not, depending upon the key you're in, the width, the neck, size of your fingers. But I just wanted to show you a pretty advanced fingering where I'm keeping things sustaining absolutely as much as possible. Okay, so that's a little bit of what you could do over this. Do you like the sound of that? Okay, just asking. Because I changed it. Instead of playing E minor 7 flat 5 and then getting the 11 to the flat 3 melody on top.
It's more melodic sounding.
I went. played an E7 sharp 9. Now, my point is this. Our bass note is an E. You could try a lot of different kind of chords. Because as long as your melody is supported by that chord, that's what a jazz pianist would do. So, it's pretty important that once you get a couple of moves down, then you start experimenting, because you don't want to play the same thing on the second verse that you played on the first verse. Yeah, all right, okay.